Hello, happy Wednesday. How are you guys doing today? I hope well. It's a little, well, it seems to have passed by. It's a little rainy here today, so I haven't really been doing too much, just kind of staying inside. Um, so if you did not see in the little description, today we are going to be doing a little sneak peek of our upcoming release, which I think is super exciting. I feel like these releases were like back to back for some reason, but it's probably just because my life is crazy. What are the crowns next to everyone's name? I think it has to do with like your interaction in the chat. I can't see them. I think you can only see them on YouTube. And since I'm in StreamYard, in order to stream, I cannot see them. But I think that is what they mean. So, hello, everybody. Thank you, of course, for spending your time with me. I know it is your most precious commodity. So let's at a little bit of what we're going to be making. I pulled out a couple of things. Can anyone else barely hear? Can you guys hear me? Ooh, I'm fuzzy right now. My apologies. Let's see if we can get you to focus. There we are. Okay. Yeah, so that's they're still talking about the crowns. The number 3 just means he's like the third most active person in the chat. Okay. So here, this is the dies that match the sentiment set, which is so glad. These are like really cute kind of punny sewing sentiments. And then this is kind of like a vintage sewing machine. I don't own a sewing machine, but my grandmother did. My gram sewed all the things. Um, so I thought it would be fun to kind of play around with this and a little bit of a metallic technique that I think will be really fun for these. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And also, I have this idea in my head for how this card could look. Julia, hello from my desk at work. Shh, everybody, we don't want Julia to get caught. This is new. This is not out yet. The next release is, I believe, the 24th. Um, so that's when this will be available. But because you guys are so wonderful and you spend your time with us, we like to show you little sneak peeks. So I pulled out some of these. Let's see, this one I haven't even opened. Let's open that right quick. As you guys know, I am not much for the pattern paper because I do like to color, but I also think that pattern paper does have its place. Um, so I have an idea in my head for how to use it today. Okay. So this vintage love one is, definitely more like vintage vibes, which I really do, I think is beautiful, and I like the color scheme. So this one is from our not our last release, but the release before that, the Cottage Countryside. And these have some beautiful kind of more like floral images. And then the last one I pulled out is the Textiles and Texture Vintage. They also have a Textiles and Texture Celebration. But this has like pairing it with a sewing set, I think would be really nice because it has all of these like the lace and burlap. So I'm not married to one yet. It's obviously wool. I'm not married to one yet, but it's kind of where I'm going with that. So, okay, now we have to, God help us, we have to do all of the die cutting because I didn't do it. I am going to, if I can find some, I think I'm just going to die cut it out of craft because I think that will save us time on the adding of the shading. but that does mean that I have to find. Oh, see, God's being kind to me. Thank you, Lord. That does mean that I have to find my craft cardstock. All right. So I'm just going to cut everything out of the same color. Are we learning how to speak German in the chat? Is that what we're doing? Been crafting all morning, hiding from the heat. I wish that that's what our situation was. My husband's going to be like, we needed the rain. Like, my grass needed the rain. But the grass really does put a damper on my midday walk. And that is a bummer because that means that I will have to make it up somewhere else, not quite as fun, like my basement. Um, so I don't like that. I'd much rather be walking outside. All right. So we're going to tape this down so I can do all of the cutting at one time. Oh, you think the rain is coming for you tonight? Yeah. I mean, I understand why we need it. I just wish it was always overnight and never interrupted my day. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Um, Plus I do have to take Jelly Bean to dance tonight. She's so excited. And so I don't want to have to be getting her in and out of the car in the rain. So selfishly, I hope it is not raining then. Okay. So this was one of the, I don't know if you guys caught it, the Monday night preview, cutting all of your things out of one color of cardstock was one of the tips and tricks that I gave for your die cutting. A little time saver on your die cutting. Okay, so now let me grab my Platinum 6, which is, as you know, if you've been here before, on the floor. With all of the dog hairs. I wish I could send you my rain, Susan. I do. So hockey, you have learned Spanish, French, and ASL, and a little Japanese. That's incredible. I try. I tried, because I had to, because it was mandated in my school. So I did have to take a semester of Spanish, and I had to take a semester of French, and then that way, when you got into high school, you could pick which one you wanted to be like, your language that you took. And for some reason, only Lord knows why, I chose French. But it turns out I'm just not really good at learning any other language. Like, it's just not something I have an ear for, I guess. Um, my husband has a minor in Spanish, and that was one of his selling points when he was getting hired. And and then they were gonna call one day, and one of his sergeants was like, "Taylor, get up here. You talk to this man. He only speaks Spanish." Yeah. Eric was like, I can't. And he was like, no, I remember in your interview process, you minored in Spanish. And he was like, correct, I did minor in Spanish, but nobody asked me if I could actually speak it. So he does know some, but it's like just enough to be dangerous. Okay. This looks like a little spool on our thread. Oh, So Nicole, you usually start English at 11 and then you choose a second, sometimes third language later. Yeah, the US is trash when it comes to that. Self-admittedly, they are not good about it. Okay, so I think that's all my pieces parts. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is the first time I'm putting this together. So it's gonna be a learning process for the both of us. So I'm kind of gonna dry fit everything first to make sure I know what I'm doing before I figure out where I'm gonna add my shading. Okay, so this clearly goes here. Okay, now that we're laying this out, I'm gonna take you don't need to see me. I'm the least interesting part of this. So let's take me off the stage. Okay, there we go. So this is clearly a detail piece for this. This is the foot pedal. I'm at work wearing headphones to drown out chewing noises and opened YouTube to play something and hear you. Well, welcome. I'm glad we could help you out. Okay. So then this piece is clearly going to go here. That's a detail piece for there. This goes here. And so I'm going to guess this little piece goes right next to it here. And then we got to poke out these little guys. Okay. And then I'm just going to scoop those kind of to the side so I don't get them mixed up with something that maybe I might need. Okay. So then this is going to sit on top of here. This clearly sits on top of here. And this is our spool here and our thread. Okay. So the spool and thread we might need to cut out of a different color. Maybe not. Okay. So now I am going to do something a little bit different for your guys' sake because I know. Did we decide where this went? Oh, this has got to be down here, huh? Yeah. Okay. Um, little different for me than because I know that it will be helpful to you. I'm going to ink blend these instead of using just my markers like I would normally do. And actually, I'm wondering if it would have been easier to do it beforehand since it's really going to be kind of more sporadic ink blending. But nonetheless, let's try. This is just a sticky mat. And I've pulled out a couple of browns here. I also have, where did it go? The scorched timber, which is a bit of a cooler brown, but only if I really think that I need it. Okay. So I'm just going to go in and kind of with a light. Is that a waffle flower sticky mat? No, this one is not a waffle flower sticky mat. This one is from scrapbook.com. I also use the sticky mat from Altenew quite a bit. I do, because even if you don't have the stamp wheel, the sticky mat is worth it. So this, I'm just kind of getting some all over color on there. And then nothing changes as far as like trying to figure out where your shadows are going to go, whether you're doing it with markers or if you're doing it with ink blending, they still go in the same place. So these are the legs, which are obviously underneath this decorative piece. So I'm going to hold my brush at an angle like this. Do you see how my nail polish chipped right before this live? It's horrific. Anyway, so I'm going to hold it at an angle like this so that I can get in here and add darkness, but just underneath. I don't want to add the darkness to the top. Now, this is less important on this one, and so it's a good way to practice because we actually have a piece that will sit on top. So even if we got it out of the lines, like we're working in a coloring book. But even if we got it where we didn't want it, it wouldn't matter so much. But it is a good time to practice. So in the ones that it does matter, you have better control. Okay. And then down here, I want these to be light because they're coming down and out, so they would catch a lot of light. But I do want to add some to these kind of connector pieces. Okay. And then we're going to start getting into some of the smaller brushes. Also, remember we talked about last time using the Belux blenders. I haven't purchased a stamp yet, just Misty. Should I take the plunge? I really think it depends on what kind of crafter you are about the end. I'm just being honest. I like them both, but the stamp wheel allows you to have a little bit more movement. It's kind of like the old school, what is that, with the Fiskars press where you could kind of like press it and then pick it up and move it. That's what it reminds me of. Okay. Why are you using distress inks? I thought the oxides work better on colored cardstocks. Um, I Oxides dry back chalky, and consequently they dry back lighter. And so I prefer a brighter ink, like a richer color, which you cannot achieve with the oxides. So that is why I chose what I chose. Okay. All right. So I think I'm pretty happy with this one. So we'll set that to the side and then we'll move on. This is the top piece, and this is the piece that our sewing machine is going to sit onto. So back to our lightest color to add our shading. Okay. And this one, I'm going to kind of come down from the top because there's going to be a shadow um, where the sewing machine is sitting. So I'm going to come down from the top. Another thing that you can do, see how there's two levels. So clearly this part of it is sitting underneath. Another thing that you can do, which is, again, this is going to take more time, but the difference might be worth it. But everybody is different. So I would just go in and add it with a marker, but I understand not everybody has that option. So if you want it to be a little bit darker where this is underneath, you can use a piece of like low tack tape, washi tape, any of those things. And then when you go in and add your color, now it's having a hard time sticking because it's got moisture underneath it, but we're just going to hold it in place. So we can add the shadows there, and then when you remove it, you'll have a very clear delineation between the two levels. Again, I would just go in with a marker and add it, but everybody's different. We all have different tools. So, okay. So that one's good. Foot pedal. I stack them out of habit, but then I have to hunt them back down. But then I have to hunt them back down. Why am I the way I am? Okay. Okay. And then this one, I'm kind of going to come up from the bottom. Okay. Just a little bit of darkness down here at the bottom. Okay. There's our stool. These, somebody who sews, maybe you can teach me. What are these pieces? They go here on the sewing machine. What are those pieces? What do they do? I did take home ec. In fact, that's where I met my best friend that I've had since I was 15. But I I did not come away with too many skills from the home economics. My bestie did much better than I did. Okay. So you know what? That is another thing that we can do. Let's bring this back. I'm not going to add the darkest color to this because I want them to stand out. But see how they're like seated in between? So we can go back and use this little trick and block them off where their lines are. And then where's my little guy? Great for leg muscles, Susan. You're probably right about that. So then we can make those areas darker in between without getting color where we don't want it. So that would also be like a little trick that you can use. Okay. This part, I'm gonna get a sip of coffee. Okay. This one, we're gonna do just like the foot pedal. There are people in your area that still use this type of sewing machine. I think that's fantastic. I think, I know when we were doing the furniture refinishing, I was shocked at how many people would rather just buy the pressboard trash furniture at like Target than spend the money to purchase something that was actually well made and would last. Like we get so many things off of Facebook Marketplace for like dirt cheap that were real wood because people literally just don't want to take the time to fix it. But I don't know if you've ever seen the reel where it says like if you're poor, you don't get to buy nice stuff, you have to make nice stuff. And that's pretty much how my husband and I started refinishing furniture because we had just moved into this house and we were broke and we wanted nice stuff, but we couldn't afford nice stuff. Okay. That was just making it so that it was not as sticky as it could be. So here, I do cross stitching as well. I do love, I think I've told you guys this in the videos. I am currently working on a stocking for my son for Christmas. It's got the, like the old red truck on it, a little snow scene with the old red truck. My kid loves trucks. So Kathy said that she wishes that she could sew. I know for me, there is a shop, like a small business shop near me, that they do classes. I wonder if you could look and see, for something like that, if there was classes by you. If I had more time, I would learn all kinds of hobbies. Um, but unfortunately, I only have what I have in this season of life. Um, there's not a lot of time for hobbies per se. Not that I regret that because it does give me an opportunity to spend lots of time with my kiddos. So this area where it's kind of coming into that fluted shape would be darker. And then I'm going to be a little extra generous over there with the darker shade because this will sit on top of it. Okay. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of darkness to this portion so that it does look like it is seated behind. Okay. Just going to see how that looks together. I believe in doing as many dry fits as possible. You have to stay down there, sir. Okay. So I do feel like we need to be a little bit darker on that edge. Okay. And that's why it's important to do stuff like that. Krista, I'm with you on the baking. So she said she didn't get into sewing from home ec, but she did get into baking, and so did I. But mine wasn't really from home ec. Mine was because of my mother. My mother loved to bake, and I spent a lot of time with her in the kitchen. And so, like, our kitchen was like the meeting place of our family. Like, that is just where everybody got together. That's where we played games together, had dinner, looked at back in the day when magazines were still a thing. And like, my mom was looking for Christmas gifts. We would get the catalogs and we would sit. I was one of three girls. So, that meant there was a lot of, looking at at all the things that we would like. This one I'm not going to add anything else to. I'm just going to add the lightest color because it's going to sit right on top there. This one I'm actually not going to shade. I'm just going to go right in to the darkest color. So that it sits apart. And this is the thread. And so this, I think I'm actually going to try to do a different color. I think I'm going to try. Let me see. I think we're going to try to do it blue. Yeah, Krista, me and my husband and our kids, we eat dinner together every night at the table. All right. And then to clean this up, I'm just gonna spray it down and wipe it with my microfiber cloth. I'm also gonna get my fingers because I've been holding the little die cuts. Yeah. And then this can go back to its home, I think. Okay. So there's a couple of different ways we can kind of do the metallic look. I will show you guys, and then we'll pick the ones that we think will be the best fit for this. Okay. We'll look at a couple of different examples, and I do have regular videos that show some of these techniques. How do I store my mat? So I have the packaging, the original packaging. I'm too lazy to put it back in there, but I take the sticky side and I just flip it over and stick it to the outside. So then, like, I still have the acetate backer, so nothing gross is going to stick to it. And then the next time that I need to use it, I can just peel it off of the um, package. Okay. Okay. So, a couple of different things that we can do to do this. I'm just going to grab some scrap paper and I'm going to cut this off because this is a sneak peek for another company and we can't have that. Okay. Alrighty. So the first way I picked gold because for me, like warm browns, when I want them, to if I'm going to add a metallic to them, I am going to add gold. That's just, I think it looks the best. Um, so the first way that we can do that is with pigment ink and embossing powder. So we would just swipe that. Well, you could use it by itself too, truly. You could. So let's do that again. Yeah, see, I need to re-ink this. We have to switch. We have to use a different one because I need to re-ink that. Okay. So one of them, one of them I'm just going to leave, and one of them I'm going to heat emboss. So that way you can see what it looks like. Oh, what? I need my scrap paper. Okay, we're going to do this one. It might take a minute because I have not preheated this at all. Okay, so one you can see is very shiny. One is raised and shiny. I have to get this guy before he escapes. So those are two different ways that you can add them. Another way that you can add them is with pastes or waxes. So you can add them that way. This one is lunar paste. What is it? The Hero Arts used to have a gold wax that would work well. And then the last way that you can do it is with actual foil. I'm not talking about like heat foil. I'm talking about the cheater's way of using foil, which I happen to think works great for one of these. So this is just regular honeybee glue. And I'm gonna put it on there. And then this is just deco foil. This is meant to be used with a heat source. So typically it's a laminator that you would see. And then instead of using the laminator, I'm just going to, you want it to still be a little bit wet. and it will stick to the glue. So those are a couple of different ways that we can add metallics. This one takes the longest to dry just because it's a paste. This one is already dry. This one obviously is instant, as is the foil. So it all depends on kind of the look that you're going for with each one of them. So I will tell you that the embossing powder is the easiest to control because after you put it on there, you can brush it off if you don't like where it is seated. The other ones make it a little harder to do that. I do think I want to try the paste because these are embossed details. I'm wondering if we could put the paste on and then kind of scrape it off and leave it in those detail areas. I would like to try that. This is a little bit of a science experiment, but I think that that's super important. So let me get down here and find a little scraper, a little plastic one. Maybe I should cut another one since we've colored all of these. Maybe I'll just cut one really quick so that we know if it'll work or not. Okay. Hold on. Oh, come with me, come with me. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm almost wondering, like, if a credit card would be better. So I'm going to take some of this. I guess I could use this little knife to do it instead of my finger. All right. So let's put some on and see if we can. Oh, it does work-ish. It leaves a sheen on top, but it does sit in the crevices. Now I wonder, I have to clean this off or we'll never get it off. You dry the paste with a heat gun or will it bubble? Honestly, I don't know, but since this is such a thin application, it's already almost dry. Oh, look, I'm spraying water on distressing pieces. Yikes, Kelly. Okay. So I'm wondering if I went in with like a dry cloth, if I could. No, that ain't it. This is slightly damp. No, so I think you have to be okay with the whole thing being like a sheen of gold if you want to go that route. Not saying that that's a bad route to go. It's not. So I think, hmm, I think if we do the, I think if we do the paste or the ink, it's hi Dawn, don't worry about being late. We're in experimental phases. Um, I think that it's going to be shiny all over, whether we want it to be or not. And I think if it's going to be shiny all over, I would rather have it be shiny like this than shiny like this. That's just my personal opinion. What about foundry wax? That, like I said, there are other places that have a wax. I don't have one. So that would be an experiment that you would have to do on your own, unfortunately. So I'm going to pull out the pieces. Yes, you could use a jelly roll or a metallic paint pen, but if you're gonna do that, then you better have a steady hand, because if you're just putting it all over, um, you're gonna, like, blot out the detail, and you're only gonna be able to see what you did with the pen. Okay. Can you go over that with Copics now? With just the distress ink, yes, you can absolutely go over it with Copic markers with just the distress inks. I wouldn't recommend going over, like, the paste or the embossing. Well, the embossing, you can. I don't know why you would want to, but you could. I've heard people over the years say it can ruin your nibs, but I mean, I don't scrub over the embossing, but I have gone over embossing before and not had any issues. All right. So these are the pieces that are the top pieces. And so this is would be what we would want to add the detail to. And I think I am going to go with the ink and the embossing, I think. So that way, you know what, where's my little, maybe I can mask this off. But can something be added to the embossing area of the die when cutting the piece? Beth Ann, that's not a silly idea at all. You can definitely, when you're cutting it out, you can, put a little bit more pressure on that area. You know what? Maybe I won't do the embossing. Maybe I'll just rub it over, because I do like how that looks. And you can see, let me hold it up for you guys. I do like that. So maybe I'll just do that. Hmm. Okay, let's try that. Because I do like how that is making the embossing pop. And it's just kind of rubbing it over the top. And I do like that for you to see. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's a good one. And it's super easy. You could probably also do this, well, I don't know, with a sponge dauber, because you'd probably be pressing um, into those areas. But I know not everybody likes to get their fingers dirty. It clearly does not bother me. But I almost wonder if, is that all of them? I think that is all of them. I am going to add just a little to here and this long piece, because that's going to sit on the top of the, um what was I saying? There we go. Okay. I do like that. Now I have to clean my finger. I wonder if, let me try something here. Just because this is the one that we've already put the paste over. Um, oh yeah, that's good. Can you see what's happening there? So we put the paste down, and the paste is seated in the embossed areas. And then I'm taking, this is a black pigment ink, and I'm just working over the top of it. And then you can see so much more of that detail. The shine is still there. That is fun. That is a technique for another time, my people, because I don't think that we can do it now with the other one on top of it. But that is definitely something to consider for a future technique. I will play around with that some more. Okay. Okay, now let's put this together. Where is my tweezers? There they are. Okay. Mhm. We'll start at the bottom. So the gold ink that I used here is just the Honeybee gold pigment ink. Oh, look, I dropped it. But the one that we did the other technique over with the little bit of black, that was actually the lunar paste. I will be playing around with that some more, I assure you. Okay, so let me put this on. I feel like if we start from the bottom and work our way up, because you know how sometimes the pieces sit on top of each other? I don't want to mess that up. Okay. And then these little guys, which we did not add any gold to. And then the the idea that I have for the card should come together pretty quickly. Um, so I think we might be able to keep it to at like an hour today. Isn't that good for us? Good for us. All right, so now this piece has to go on here. This is so pretty. And look at all the little metallic-y pieces. Oh, I like that a lot. Big fan. All right. And then this piece goes on top of this piece. This guy here down at the bottom wants to give me grief. Don't be like that. Nope. There we go. Hockey, I love that it was your dad who was the one proficient in sewing. Okay. Now this is going to sit on this. Everything is very one color. I get that. But I'm hoping to add color into the rest of the card with the other details. Okay. Okay, there's the little. Now we have to adhere this to this. I'm just going to line it up on my glass mat so I know that everything is straight. And then okay. Very cute. Very, very cute. So now let's work on the rest of the card. So I do have, what did we do with those? I think I want to go with the ones here. I think I want one of the smaller patterned blue ones, maybe. This one. This one. This, this one. This one, I think. This one also might be good. A little too busy. So far, this one's the winner. Oh, I like this one as well. Even though I don't use pattern paper a lot, I still suffer from the same problem everybody else does, which is committing to using it. Committing to using it. This one. But I pictured more of a white in my head. I don't know why. It's a little too large, I think. Okay. All right. I think we're going to go with this one. And I'll just flip-flop my color intention. Okay. So now I need to look and see how tall this needs to be. I also need I'm just going to I think I want to use this side. This side has more flowers. Here. Here. Okay. Now I need some, I know you guys are going to be shocked, some blue. I need some blue. We're going to do some trimming. That paper pack is the Cottage Countryside. All right. Trimming. I'm gonna have quarter. I may have to change this after we figure out our sizing. This is, what is it? Hold on. It's from Spellbinders. They changed them though. Well, some of them they changed when they did the color wheel cards. I think they kept this one though. They did keep it. It's Cosmic Sky from Spellbinders. So Beth Ann, that is the game plan. The game plan is for it to be the wallpaper. Okay. So now I have to figure out how big of an area I need. So I clearly need bigger than 4 1/4. So I bet I could get away with 4 1/2 though. This 4 1/2. 4 3/4. I don't think I can make it that skinny though. Yeah, I can. Let's try. Okay, so cut off 3/4 of an inch from that side, and I like them to be matchy matchy. So I am also going to cut off 3/4 of an inch from this side. Do I have any of the honeybee frames? Like the layering frames, Krista? Is that what you're talking about? So here, okay, I think we're going to go with, makes you sad when you look at all the old paper companies that no longer exist. Yeah, well, it's not just paper companies, unfortunately. The current situation that we're in, where the industry is kind of losing people. But I feel like there was a huge boom several years ago of companies that came out. Okay, so this one is just like 1/4 of an inch. And then I do need one that's probably like a 1/2 inch. This one I'm just going to trim as needed. So this one I do want to be um, the floor, but I don't want it to be the same color as this. So I'm going to skip the lighter colors and I'm just going to go in with the darker inks as soon as I figure out where I put my inks. Does anybody know? Where did I put them? I didn't put them back. Yes, I did. Okay. So we're going to set these to the side and we're going to go in with our darker colors. Well, and some of the companies, like, it's not even that they were doing poorly. Some of them just got either tired of doing it or it was no longer sustainable for whatever their family situation was. Um, there's quite a few different reasons why people close down. I hate when it's financial because I feel like there's more than enough for everybody to thrive. Okay, so it's ground espresso, and then I'm going to go in with the scorched timber. So normally, I'm just being truthful. I would have pulled out the barnwood planks for the floor, but that's part of the reason why I was running late. I literally could not find it. My sister, my wonderful sister, just went through my stamp sets to pull out some of the old retired stuff, and I am not yet familiar with where all the things are. So, okay, this is our little guy here. And I'm doing it this way because I don't want them to overlap. If you want them to overlap, you don't need a little sheet like this, like a second piece of cardstock to line up all of your things on. Okay, it's going to be our floor. This is going to be our baseboard. Okay. Oh, I need my, do you see what's happening there? I got glue. And then you don't want to clean that up with your finger, especially not after you've been working with distress things, because you'll end up just rubbing brown all over your white baseboard. And then honestly, maybe it would look more like my real like my real baseboards with my children and my dogs, but I would like my baseboard on my card to be pristine. So, and then this is going to be our wallpaper. So let me see if I can figure out the size of this. Um, Hopefully Honeybee will participate in Stamptember this year. Kathy, I'm not sure if they will or they won't. Um, I think that's kind of hit or miss. I think some people really enjoy Stamptember and some people do not. All right, so I'm gonna go with 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and then we should be able to trim that down a little bit more. 4 1/4. Oh crap! Did I cut that on the? Yep, I sure did. It's gonna be sideways. All right, let's try again. This side is the one I want to be 3 1/2, right? Yes. Just be a little generous on that side. There we go. Correct. Nicola said that because on cards we can do things which do not exist in nature, such as pristine white baseboards. I could not agree more. I want more flowers, I think. So I'm going to go this way. So now that should mostly fit. Yeah. So I'll have the least amount to trim off. So you guys use a lot of pattern paper? I'm very curious about this. I'm just going to line it up with one side, knowing that it is a little bit larger. That way one side is flush. And then I only have one side to, hi Brian, one side to trim off. So I do prefer the ears when I'm cutting the sides. Okay. There we go. There's our little living room, dining room, sewing room. All right, now I need to decide if I like it on the blue. And I do believe I will like it better on the white. So, was that my last piece of? Yep, it was. Why wouldn't it be? I used pattern paper. Ink blending was just becoming a thing when I got started card making. Yeah, I used to use more pattern paper before I was a card maker. Like when I was a scrapbooker, I definitely used more pattern paper. But as Deanna said, like that's pretty much what was on the market. Once I realized I could make my own with like background stamps or stencils or just inking, then I chose to invest in my inks and not so much in the pattern paper. All right. Yeah, that's cleaner. I like that better. And then here's our star of the show, our little sewing machine. And now we have to pick a sentiment. So, you're so cute, you're the best, so amazing, stitched together with love. Thanks so much. For me, it's usually I don't think that there is going to be a good place to put it. I think we're going to have to go down here. Quilted with love. Stitched together with love. So excited for you. Thanks so much. How about I think I like the thanks so much. So now, oh, Krista, I will be popping this up. Don't you worry. So now I need to find, I don't think I'm going to use the Cosmic Sky. I think that might be a bit bright. Even though I love that blue, because you guys know blue was my boyfriend. I love a blue. I think maybe. Trying to find a navy in my scraps, but you know, you know that I use all the blues. So is there even a scrap of navy to find? Who knows? So Dana, that is so kind of you to say. Thank you. I I like to feel like, you know, they have a lot of detail and stuff when they're done. Debbie, you feel guilty when you use pattern paper? Don't feel guilty, because then you get to share your beautiful pattern paper with other people. All right, so I think that's what we're going to do. And then here I have my navy. So let me get my Mitzi. And okay. Anti-static tool, of course. Then our Brilliant White Pigment ink. I like to stamp mine twice. Oh, Brian said he's been using his pattern paper to make envelopes with, which I think is a great use of that. I bet your envelopes are beautiful. Okay. And remember the leftover, the remnants. Make sure that your embossing is cool to the touch, and then you can buff it. I usually use I'll try to, oh, where's my shoulder? I usually do it on my pants. I just buff it on my clothes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it on my pants because I can't get a good contact. And then it's back to its former glory. Okay. These back in their home. Die cut this little guy out. Mhm. Did Honeybee ever have an envelope liner die? I don't think so, Hockey. I also have an envelope maker. I think I actually bought it from Honeybee, but it's a different brand. But I also never used it. Okay. There's our sentiment. All right, now we'll just double check that we like the way that that looks. Thanks so much. I think it's adorable. I love our wallpaper. Well, thank you for popping in, Eleanor. I'm glad it's helping. Okay. You should use an old pair of pants and cut them up to have clothes on your table to rub the paper over them. Jennifer, that's a great idea, but since most of the time I'm sitting here in sweatpants, it doesn't bother me to rip them on my pants. What's the trick to getting that much anti-static powder when you apply it? I can barely see it when I do it. Okay, so Deanna, it depends on what you have. I have the Rabbit Hole Designs anti-static tool, and this one works amazing. This is the best one that I have ever found. I also have the old school bag. This is not a Gina K thing. It's just the bag I have it in. But every time you this particular one, and Honeybee does carry it, but every time you like pump it, it primes it so that there's a powder ready to come out. So okay, now let's start gluing. I love how vintagey he feels with his little shine. And I think it's super important to do experiments like we did today to find what works and what doesn't. But also because then maybe we learned a couple of other things that we can use for other cards that we didn't necessarily use today. Deanna, don't be sorry. Well, it's one of the benefits of being and alive is being able to ask the questions. There we go. Feel like this little guy does not have enough glue on him. So let's push him back. Okay. And then we'll do our sentiment. Gotta make sure we're straight before we put the sentiment on. Okay. Maybe a little bit more over that way. Okay, sentiment down here. Thanks so much. Adorable. Now, I'm going to pop up the whole piece instead of doing the individual pieces. One of the benefits of these little Spellbinder scissors, they are the non-stick ones, which are great for cutting things like foam tape. I had another pair of little scissors years ago. I actually think that they were a Fiskars brand and stuck to my foam tape like crazy. It would drive me nuts. All right. Peel this off. Bye, Beth Ann. Have a good day. All right, so now I want to make sure that we get this straight on. Sometimes it helps to stand up and look down at it directly. Mm, are we good? I think we're okay. Maybe we're a little far to the left. I can't really tell. Let me pick it up and look at it. No, I think we're okay. All right. So now you guys know that I can't get out of a card without adding some of little details because I have a problem. So I'm just going to add a little shadow underneath here. You're barely going to be able to see it, but it's going to make me feel better. And I'm going to add some white gel pen as soon as I locate mine. Here we go. So you could do what Brandon had said before and like go in and find all your embossing details, which I think would be really pretty. But I'm not going to do that today. I am going to color in like this needle portion. I'm going to get the high points. Along here maybe. And I'm just kind of letting the pen skip and do its own thing. Just a couple of little things. Nothing too crazy. You absolutely could use real thread on this hockey. All right. So you can see all the shimmer and all of the detail, which I totally love. Um, so my camera, my face camera has become disconnected while we were doing this. So hang tight. I'm gonna pick a winner. Um, So that way you can, well, you can shop now or you can hang on to it for the upcoming release. So let me just go back and randomly select Sarah B. Sarah B with her smiley face. That was the random winner. So congratulations, Sarah. If you don't, hopefully she's still in here and she sees this. Um, you're going to send an email to customercare@honeybeestamps.com and let them know that you're the winner from today's live, and then they will send you your gift card. And then you can either use it now or you can save it for this upcoming release. I'm super excited about it. I think it's a really, really great one. Oh, good, Sarah, you're still in here. So, thank you guys so much for joining me. I love spending my Wednesday afternoons with you and creating. I hope that you learned a little something from our experiments. I know I sure did. And I'm excited for the next release. So 20% off sale items come on Saturday. So I will be using some new release items in our live next week as well. And so, of course, there'll be some upcoming videos and stuff with those. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I always appreciate that. I know your time is precious. Um, so, all right. Well, I will let you go on with your Wednesday, and I will see you Monday for the Monday night premiere. Bye.